And here we go. Coming to you live from a dimension of sight, sound, and mind. A journey into a wondrous land of imagination. Your next stop, Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast. I'm not talking about Twilight Zone here. There it is.
Podcast crossover.
Submitted for your approval.
Welcome, everyone, to Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast. I'm Travis.
I am Brandon. Welcome to our show.
How long have you been just dying to make that intro, Brandon?
I wanted to, had I practiced more, had I tried to get really embody Rod Serling a bit more, I would have put so much more effort into it. But you can't imitate greatness.
Yeah, no, it's you can honor it, but you can't emulate it.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna try to honor some greatness in this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening, for downloading, for streaming, whatever it is you do to listen to podcasts. If you want to connect with us, there are a few ways you can do that. You can hit us up on Twitter at Rick and Morty Pod, over on Reddit, rickandmortypodcast.reddit.com, on facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast, and send us an email at rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. We have t-shirts at TeePublic. If you go to our website, apatheticenthusiasm.com/shop, you can get the link to grab yourself an Interdimensional RSS t-shirt, Unity t-shirt, or any other TeePublic Rick and Morty t-shirt. You can support the show that way, or go to patreon.com/Rick and Morty Pod and support us directly. Check out our pre-episode live streams, where I unboxed the new Rick and Morty Season 3 Blu-ray.
You did.
I did. That did happen. We're still going to talk about it in our first segment, but yeah, just come hang out, talk about the show. It's kind of us getting ready to podcast and hearing directly from you. So hang out, or just go on Discord or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Brandon, we have many things to discuss. So yes. I just want to check in on you and see how you doing. Are you ready to go?
I'm doing all right. You're looking at me as I'm like looking at a bunch of different screens, because we are for our patrons, we're trying to do this live stream thing a little bit more. So we're giving the videos, but we're also trying to do live stream too, and that is something we're trying. And something that we're still getting the hang of. So
yeah, we're gonna work this all out. By season 4, we should have it all down pat. But yeah, we are truly appreciative of everyone that listens to the show. If you share it, if you rate or review the podcast, and we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you for that. But for those of you that decide to throw a little money in on top of everything else, hopefully we are doing justice by you by trying to pay it back a little bit. So thank you to everyone. Brandon, this segment is full of discussion.
Okay.
So let's not waste any more time.
Let's not dilly dally.
It's time for semi-pertinent news.
Semi-pertinent. That's so obnoxious. Semi-pertinent news. There you go.
Coming live to your ear holes.
I was trying to do like a ticker. I was trying to do
like a news ticker, right? Like it started out that way.
That's how I should have done it. Actually, it's just a semi-pertinent news. That's how. But you learn, you live, you learn. You buy T-shirts, and then you outgrow them because you start getting fat. My son is wearing my T-shirts now because I'm getting fat.
Like as pajama shirts, or like as a night on the town?
As pajama shirts. I put on a shirt the other day, and it was the first time this has happened to me, where it didn't get all the way down to my belt buckle. I'm like, ooh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's funny because you reach a stage in your life where you stop outgrowing T-shirts because you stop like getting taller, but then they stop like fitting in other ways, and then you reassess some life decisions and start eating more salads. Yeah,
Wine.
and then whatever. 70 episodes, Brandon. Holy
70.
crap!
Oh my God. So here's what I want to do, Travis. Here's what I want to do real quick. I want to do a demonstration of the a joke episode of the podcast that I wanted to do with you, but we didn't get around
We
to.
didn't do it. We didn't.
We're gonna do it right here. We're gonna do it live. Here's the thought. Here's what we want to do. Our emergency 70 episodes podcast. Coming to you live. Oh shit! 70 fucking episodes! Fuck! 70 fucking, it's fucking episodes! 70 episodes! Fuck! And then what would happen from there?
And the episode would just end.
Then Travis then would come in, and then Travis, what would you say?
I'd say, see you next year. I don't know. 70 episodes. 70episodes.com. www.70episodes.
70 fucking episodes. 70 episodes. Anyways, so that's how that'd go.
That's pretty much it.
But really, what I wanted Travis to also say fucking a lot, but he's not about fucking. He's about love, Megan.
I'm about love. I'm about love. What I was trying to do is I was trying to go back on Twitter and see like all the people that just kind of blew up our Twitter feed as soon as the 70 episodes was announced, and that was a fun day. That was a fun Twitter day. And there were some calls for emergency podcasts, which honestly,
I wanted to.
But there's a lot to talk about with 70 episodes, but there's also not a whole lot to talk about. So, like, what do we know? We know 70 episodes guaranteed. We don't know how that's going to be broken up. We can speculate. At first, I thought, wow, seven seasons of 10 episodes. That's going to be nuts. But then I figured 5 seasons of 12 probably makes more sense.
12 or did you say 14 originally? I don't know.
Oh,
I'm not gonna,
yeah,
I'm
it
not
should be
gonna
12, right? 5 times 2 is
5
10.
times 12 is 60. No.
Oh, that'd be 60. Yeah, you're right. 13 and a half?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, so like season
the math
was,
works
was
out.
11.
Maybe it's 14. Maybe it's 14. 14 episodes. Yeah.
We're
5 episodes of
podcasters.
14.
We're
not mathematicians. It's not like I work at a day job coding computers or anything. It's not what I do.
Coding has nothing to do with math. It's all logic.
Yeah. I'm the best at logic. But yeah, I don't know. Like, the announcement was really fun. We got to see a little Royland artwork over on Instagram, and then a funny little sketch where Royland decides to finally move out of Harmon's shower because they have to go to work. Both very, very funny things. If you head out, if you've like not been on social media in the last week and a half, worth checking out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what was your first feeling when you heard renewed 70 episodes?
Do you want me to be honest, Travis, or you want me to be podcast honest?
Of course.
Oh my God, Travis is dead.
I choked on my Dr. Pepper.
That was
No,
Travis's
I want you to be
reaction.
100% honest, because we're all about transparency here on Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
100% honest. For anybody who's listened to every single episode, you may have forgotten this little Travis is choking to death, and I laughed at him. That's how our relationship.
Because we're about 100% honesty here on the podcast.
Not podcast honesty, 100% honesty. That a little nugget that I talked about a long time ago was when we were talking about, well, how many seasons can the show really go? How many episodes can the show really go? And I dropped a little nugget of truth in my life. Nugget, which is, I mean, I love the show, obviously. as a podcaster, I have like in the Twilight Zone, I have 5 seasons to get through 156 episodes, and I'm only through season 2 of that, and I'm like, oh my god, there's still so many left, and there's part of me that is looking forward to the day that it's all gone and done with, right? So when I hear 70 episodes, my immediate thought is, you fuck, you funny fuckers, that's hilarious. And then the dawn of seriousness comes on me, and I'm like, oh, whoo, I am feeling overwhelmed. That's
that
one of
is that is at least 70 more podcasts.
yes, yeah. And once that initial being overwhelmed was over, I was like, oh no, this is good. This is good because now, like, I'm not. There was a part of us where like I don't think any of us thought it was going to get canceled outright, but you and I were both just thinking, well, what happens if this show goes away? Then we don't have a podcast anymore, and we go back to apathetic enthusiasm, where like two
Nobody
people
listens to it. Yeah.
listens to it, right? And like this is this
Go
is
listen
nice.
to Apathetic Enthusiasm, please. We beg you.
That's my plug. That's my
Yeah.
pathetic plug.
No, I am with you. I think 100%. Where at first I was like, oh gosh, that's a whole lot of podcast. There was excitement. I was first just excitement that the show was renewed. And that they had finalized some sort of contract. Like that very first feeling, I was excited that the show is coming back. I don't know dates or times or anything like that, but it is in fact coming back. There's that little bit of certainty there. And then 70 episodes, while that is a lot, I'm excited for the potential consistency that brings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas writers, as artists, they can make some plans and decide where they want to take the show, but they can work at it very methodically, I think. And there's an interview that came out, I think the same day as the announcement, in GQ. I think they interviewed Dan Harmon, and we'll get the link up for that. But Dan Harmon talked about how he felt now that the contract was finished, and that they have consistency, and the sort of the weird like depression and stuff that he was in, where he didn't know like what was going to happen. Now he can just buckle down and just really be focused on working on Rick and Morty. Apparently, I mean, I don't know the specifics of the deal, but apparently they're going to get paid well enough where he doesn't have to focus on other work necessarily. Like they can really just focus on Rick and Morty and worry about making that. And they don't have to necessarily rush, because like once they get the show moving, they can just keep working it. And so I don't think we're necessarily going to see new episodes soon. We joked on Facebook that it's probably going to be another 2 years. I could see it being late 2019, maybe mid 2019 if things are really speedy. But I'm not gonna hold my breath on that. But I feel like the breaks between seasons 4 and 5 and beyond, those can definitely be shorter. I definitely expect there to still be breaks, because that's sort of how television works. But you can keep writing season 5 after you've finished season 4, and allow that time for the animation to happen and things like that. And I don't know. I think those breaks should shorten up. I'm not going to speak for the production team, but I'm hopeful that will happen.
I completely agree with that. Here's what is on lines of consistency a little bit more from our end. Like we can now plan hiatuses and breaks better to correlate with the show, knowing that it's going to be back in next July or whenever, right?
Yeah.
There aren't going to be as many like, okay, oh shit, Travis, what are we going to do for a year and a half, 2 years,
Yes.
2.5 years? What are we going to do?
Who knows? Indeterminate amounts of time. At least for the next 70 episodes. Beyond that, who knows? Maybe by the end of then, we'll be full-time podcasters.
Yeah.
You will have all the patrons, and Dan and Justin will be our best friends, and they'll come on the podcast and talk to us all the time, every week, about all the great episodes of Rick and Morty.
And we won't have to be like, All right, let's throw a hook out there in the lake without any bait and
Just
see if
just
somebody
keep
bites.
just keep swinging and hoping we hit something. Yeah.
It's
Which, by the way, if you're a
persistence.
producer or in any way affiliated officially with Rick and Morty, happy to have you on in say 3 to 5 episodes when we are completely done with our season 1 rewatch. Look us up at the links at the top of the show. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with season 4 and beyond, the 70 episode marvelousness? I mean, that's really all we know right now. I'm excited
Yeah,
for them to get working on it, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So cool.
we will see what happens. But before we even get to season 4 and beyond, there's one thing we need to talk about, and that's season 3, and specifically, Travis bought the season 3 Blu-ray with digital copy. Oh my god, he unboxed that shit. Travis, tell me about your unboxing
I
that
gotta
shit.
say,
It was so
the
exciting.
unboxing of a Blu-ray is somewhat anticlimactic,
It,
especially no X in that word. When it's just one disc. But okay, obviously, I mean, if you've seen it on the store shelves, this was actually the last one at my local Target. Snagged it up.
oh, whoa.
Um,
Whoa, it's that popular that it was the
yeah,
last one at your
apparently,
local Target?
you know how those Rick and Morty fans are. They just they got to get out and get their hands on that pickle Blu-ray.
They're smart.
But yeah, it's got a giant Pickle Rick face on it because Pickle Rick will never die. Apparently, uh, the box art on the inside is Pickle Rick in his rat suit fighting off a bunch of rodents, and then inside, standard portal disc. You got your code for the digital copy, but the one bonus, the thing that was worth buying something
Bonus.
physical and not just buying the digital version on iTunes, is the Morty Adventure Card, which comes two-sided. You get one side that is completely blank, so you can hand it to your own personal
Yeah.
Morty and start earning those Morty Adventure points. And
So
then the
cool.
other side, which is stamped 9 times, showing that the next Morty adventure is right around the corner. So that's a fun little memento.
So the season 1 Blu-ray came with the Good Morty, the little pamphlet,
Right.
right?
And that was only first run, I believe.
Well, maybe I'm not sure.
I don't know. I have my season 1 right here. Let's open it up.
While you check that, I'll keep talking. So the pamphlet is the Good Morty. Oh, you don't have it. Oh, look at me. I'm so much better than you. I'm a bigger fan than you. But I guess like of 250 of the little booklets, Justin and somebody else. Ooh,
I think
sorry.
Dan. I think Justin and Dan both signed. Little
Signed,
autograph cards in
stamped
there.
it. So it's a collector's edition. So if you have that, please send it to me. I'll give you $5. That's the kind of the point of that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So
we
what I was getting at was, man, what if one of those adventure cards is a collector's edition? What if you have the collector's edition Morty card?
Hey, maybe it's not signed. That's for sure. Also, season 2 had a Plumbus on the disc. That was fun. But I didn't get the Plumbus instruction book, I think, because I bought it late. Again, I think it's only the first run where they're putting a little bonuses in. So
Shoot, I need to order it now, is what you're saying.
yeah, you should probably have already done that. As
Bye.
a responsible podcaster, get your act together. But yeah, so season 3 DVD is out. If you haven't pirated it by now, then go out and actually pay money to support the show.
The other way you can buy it, if you want, good segue, Travis, is the Rickmobile is back on the road.
And get your motor running.
Dun, 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 dun. Rickmobile riding.
Yeah, brand new Rickmobile tour already. I think hitting the road here in the next few days. It's right around the corner. Summer is nearly here, Brandon.
It is. I can feel it in the air tonight.
Oh, okay. Oh Lord.
Well, oh Lord, Florida is it gets hot down here, Travis. I don't know if you know that.
I've heard that Florida gets hot.
It gets hot, but
My one trip to Disney World in like April, I was sweating like
you
a
went to
moe.
Disney World before?
Yeah. When it was probably like 9 years ago.
Oh wow, I've never been to Disney World. I mean, I went there like last week, but I've never been to Disney World.
You just went and like roamed around the resort and didn't actually enter any of the parks.
Had margaritas for Cinco de Mayo in
This
whatever.
guy. Anyway, yeah,
Rickmobile's
Rickmobile's hitting the
on.
road. 2 stops in Nebraska. So heyo, hitting that
Hey.
Midwest. I know it's spending about 4 days in San Diego for Comic-Con. And it's making its way all the way down to Tampa, where somebody I know may be able to hang out and check it out.
Here's my hope, Unity and Travis, is that you and I are able to finagle our way into knowing somebody who runs the Rickmobile, so we can like interview them or be a part of it in some way, shape, or form.
Let's do it, Unity. Use your might, use your numbers. Yeah, if you happen to be affiliated with the Rickmobile and want to set something up, you know how to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty Podcast, gmail.com.
We don't need merchandise. We just want to talk.
Yeah, we just want to hang out. So specifically the Tampa location, and I'm thinking probably when it hits Lincoln, Nebraska, will be the spots where we should be visiting the Rickmobile. So yeah, if you are in those general parts of the United States, go check the schedule for the Rickmobile. But yeah, we'd love to say hey, slap some high fives, and stand in the sun and wait for exclusive merchandise with you. So yeah, let us know if you're planning to visit the Rickmobile, and specifically if you're planning to visit in one of those 2 locations.
Yes, please do. And finally, here in semi-pertinent news, it's of course the Dan Harmon tweet minute. When you think you got a Big Mac, don't eat it because it's probably rotten because it's been in your car for 60 days. I don't know why 60 days is the key number for that. But
well, yeah, that's about the time when a Big Mac, well,
right,
not
right.
a sponsor, still not affiliated with that.
You're drinking McDonald's. You're drinking McDonald's.
Still not affiliated with that fast food chain
Fucking
that
sell
shouldn't
out.
be named.
You sold out, Travis. Okay, so this tweet is this Dan Harmon tweet is in response to a tweet, and so the response, the tweet he's responding to says, maybe you'd have time to write season 4 if you didn't tweet all day. And Dan Harmon's tweet responds as such: sure, maybe Bigfoot likes baseball, maybe Paris is nice, maybe your knowledge of TV is limited to a public trough containing mostly other viewers' puke. Who knows? Oh, I do, so why stand by the trough is your point. I don't know, it's where grew up. But you're right, I can move. Scene.
Put him on blast, Dan.
Harmon Block, 2018.
Put him on blast. And that's Dan Harmon Tweet Minute, which also concludes the segment of semi-pertinent news.
That's right.
And 23 minutes in, I told you we had a lot to talk about, but here we go. Get in the right frame of mind, Brandon. It is now time for the main thing.
Oh, I'm lightheaded. Oh,
Oh.
I said that main thing. Oh, why'd you let me go on for so long?
Oh, because I was reading posts in the live stream because somebody's actually watching it now.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a main thing, and we're here to talk about, of course, season 1, episode 9. Something Ricked This Way Comes. Let me change that in the show notes. Boom. Before we try to send that out and make ourselves look professional. Something Ricked This Way Comes originally aired March 24th of 2014. Written by Mike McMahon, directed by John Rice, and Pete Michaels helped out with that.
Yay.
Synopsis brought to us by our Reddit friends.
By the friends over at reddit.com. So yeah, Rick starts a feud with the devil. Oh, no, there's more. Rick starts a feud with the devil after he moves into town and offers Summer a job in a Needful Things send-up. Meanwhile, Jerry tries to help Morty finish his science project and lands them in the middle of a political conspiracy thriller plot on the planet Pluto. Ahem, celestial dwarf. There's also a D plot in which a small robot discovers existential dread.
Such a D plot.
Such a D plot. Yeah. So, okay, for me, this is in one way a classic episode that so many like core elements of Rick and Morty fandom come from this. And at the same time, I feel like this episode is also like kind of like a cookie cutter episode of Rick and Morty, if that makes sense.
Let me try to extract what you're saying, Travis. Part of my skill set is extracting, a bigger picture in setting it aside into manageable chunks. So if I'm following you correctly, Travis, what you're saying is this is kind of a typical Rick and Morty episode. It defines Rick and Morty, yet it is a one-off, inconsequential episode. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's one way to put words in my mouth.
What are other ways, Travis? What are other ways?
You could like write them on a piece of paper and then physically shove the words into my mouth. I don't know.
Done it.
Been there. Done it. Cross that bridge.
Called a dictaphone.
Yeah. No. I feel like I wouldn't dare call this episode forgettable because so many awesome things happen in it. But I feel like it is a very standalone. Like if Rick and Morty got into the habit of having like serialized, or not like serialized, but just like individual, like sitcom-esque, where everything's all cleaned up in 30 minutes and nothing in one episode necessarily impacts anything else, this would be one of those episodes.
Yeah, this is like an episode of King of Queens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where Kevin James, he does one of his things at UPS and everyone laughs, and then but next week,
complains about his diet and then falls over. I don't know. I don't watch King of Queens.
Jerry Stiller, his dad, gets into a zany, wacky thing, and it's resolved by the 23 minutes.
Yeah, 28 minutes. It's all done. So,
Kevin
anyway,
James, Paul Blart Man himself. That's the podcast we're following this one up with. So that's side note. This is what we planned on doing. Like if Rick and Morty got canceled, we were going to do a Kevin James based podcast. But
thank goodness we got those 70 episodes.
Shelve it.
All right, so let's get into the Reddit discussion questions. First up, Pluto, is it a planet, a celestial dwarf, or something completely different? Defend your science.
Ooh, are you having me start with this? Don't have me start with this.
Defend it.
Because I'm about to tear your ass up in a non-gay way. I'm gonna tear it up.
Okay.
I'm gonna tear it up. So here's the thing. I went and I did research on this particular thing because I was like, Pluto's not a planet, and they say cold celestial dwarf in it. But I felt like I heard that it was called a planet recently. So you know what? I'm gonna go to Google, and I think maybe we talked about this before. There was confusion on what it was, and we're doing it live, so we didn't stop and look it up. But so what I did was, I went to a place called www.loc.gov, and there's a question on there, and the question is, why is Pluto no longer a planet? And basically what it boils down to is, to be considered a planet, there are 3 criteria you have to follow. Okay, Travis?
I'm with you. I'm following.
Are you with me so far?
I'm with you.
Put on your glasses that you haven't gone to the optometrist for 1 second. Okay? 3 criteria. The first, is it in orbit around the sun?
Yes.
Pluto is in orbit around the sun. Yes. That's the first criteria.
Planet.
Done. Pluto is a planet so far. Number 2, it has sufficient mass to assume hydrostatic equilibrium, a nearly round shape. In other words, Pluto, is it nearly round?
Obviously. We've seen the photos.
Yes.
It's a planet.
Yes. It's a planet so far. 2 out of 3. I don't know if you like Meatloaf, the singer.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, God, what an asshole song. We've talked about it before. Number 3, it has cleared in quotes, it has cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. And that is where the sticking point is. It has not cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. And what that means is there's still like debris and asteroids and stuff all around it. So because it doesn't have enough gravity to clear its orbit or clear the neighborhood, it's not big enough. And so because it's not big enough, it fails number 3 and is considered a dwarf planet or a celestial dwarf. So it is not a planet technically.
So here's what you're telling me is a bunch of guys got into a room and decided that it's not a planet. And I am deciding it is, which makes me a Jerry.
Yeah, that's basically what we're establishing right now.
Yeah, I do find it very interesting in the thought process behind this episode to be of a generation that grew up learning that Pluto was a planet.
Yeah.
And I fully understand that feeling that Jerry has in this episode where he's going to do something that seems very simple, like helping Morty with a science experiment of making the solar system, right? And having something that has been so fundamental for you growing up be different now as your kids go through school. Everything they do to try and teach my kids math is different now. And I'm like, this is how long division works. Just do it like this. She's like, oh, that's not how they teach us. And I'm like, it's math. Math is math. See Incredibles 2 in theaters this summer. Anyway, yeah, I get it. I get it.
I just caught what you're doing. Like, man, you're being really harsh on your kids right now. Why is he being so cruel? Oh, he's quoting a movie. That's the best way to be cruel to your kids, by the way. Is just quote a movie. Like my son is like, Dad, can you yeah, because he just had 2 front teeth pulled today from the dentist, and he's 6, and he's like, can you lay down with me? And I say, I'll be back, and I just walk out.
Oh gosh.
Right? And then he's crying. I'm like, don't cry. Now I know why you cry.
And you're like, have you seen this boy?
He's still crying. You can if you listen real close, you can hear his screams.
All
that
right.
True?
All
He's
right.
asleep.
Yeah. So next question from over on Reddit is: have you played Jerry's game? And if so, what's your high score? The game in question, you can see it in the early scenes of this episode when they're sitting around the breakfast table, and Jerry has his iPad out, popping balloons on his game. I love this scene just for the fact that on one side of the table you have Jerry, who is doing a very, very simple iPad game that like maybe kids would do, and then on the opposite side of the table you have Rick, who is building a complex robot for the purpose of passing butter. And I think that it's just like this great little picture that's it's not called out necessarily, but just the way that, you know, those two individuals have slightly different ways of occupying their time while they scarf down some pancakes.
Okay, so but I mean that doesn't answer the question. That actually
No, I haven't played the game.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't. No, I haven't played it.
Before
I'm not a Jerry in all ways.
And this is where I become a Jerry. I have it downloaded on one of my iPads or my iPhones, my old iPhone maybe, because at some point in time before we started this podcast, I went looking just to see what they had Rick and Morty wise. Oh, maybe it was actually when we covered video games.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'll say my high score probably is like 36 because I was laughing and like, oh, there it is. This is the game. And in the commentary track for the episode, they actually talk about, you know, like we need to make this. We need to make this game. Like get on it. Oh, make it.
Somebody hire some coders. Make this happen. I don't think I even really heard about it until Pocket Morty's came out, and then that got me thinking about other Rick and Morty games, and Jerry's balloon game was there.
Yeah.
So do you know your high score? You said 35. Is
Yeah,
that?
like 35, 36. It's somewhere in the 30s. Just because I mean, I actually when my kid was younger, this was like 2 years ago, a year and a half, whatever. I don't know. I'm a bad father. But whenever I was like getting him into games, I was like, here, play this, right? Like, because it's so simple. He got bored of it quickly because he's his mother's son. He's not mine.
Yeah, he plays Crazy Walk now,
That's a good game.
which I finally figured out. The
Okay.
the last thing I want to say about this is there's a game that's like pretty recent called Rise Up that is a game that just has one individual balloon moving up, and you have to like kind of protect it from all this falling debris. And I saw someone like legitimately playing it like a week ago, and immediately the first thing I thought of was Jerry's Balloon Game. But then when I was like searching for actual games on on my new iPad, that was one of the ones that popped up. And I was like,
Yep.
hey,
Popped up.
Jerry it up.
Side note, it turns out I found my random cloud save data for Pocket Mortys, so I'm gonna start playing that again. I think pretty soon because
Good.
yeah,
Good.
whatever.
Good.
Okay, next question. Some voids can't be filled with Jamba Juice, but what voids can be filled by Jamba Juice?
This is a good question. This is true. I would say the void in your heart where you miss being on a tropical island. That could potentially be filled with Jamba Juice. If you're having a rough day sleepiness wise and you need an energy boost, maybe that is a void that could be filled with Jamba Juice. I don't know. Maybe if you're low on sugar, that
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much it. It's just a lot of sugar in there. That's what I'm getting at.
Hypoglycemic is that a word?
Sure.
Is that it sounds like a word. I don't know. I don't know if this counts, but I went to I worked out last Friday, and we played this game called Gator Ball, which is like a weird mix between soccer and football. There's a goal. I don't know, whatever. But after it, I was kind of sore, and I had taken a shower, and I was like, I put the towel around my waist, and like I put my underwear on underneath the towel because I don't know. I feel like showering in a gym is still just a weird thing to me. I'm very self conscious about my hairy body. And it's only hairy like down there, just to establish that. But so after that,
We were talking about Jamba Juice a second ago. I'm sure
gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. Anyways, after playing Gator Ball, after showering, there's this like little smoothie place, and so I'm like, oh, you know what? I should get a smoothie, and I ordered like the berry blast smoothie, and there's bananas and berries in it, and I ordered the medium, and I got it, and it came back, and it was just the largest fucking thing ever. So what voids can be filled by Jamba Juice or smoothies? The rest of my meals for the rest of that day.
Your entire digestive tract just
yeah,
full of Jamba Juice.
and I swear I'm getting a little lactose intolerant. So I'll fill in the blanks there.
Yeah. No, I've been there. Can't handle that spicy milk. Yeah, I want to move. I want so badly to move on from this topic, but I have to comment on not knowing the relative size of drinks in fast food establishments.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll just usually say like medium, just because that seems like a tolerable amount of beverage. And when they hand me like a bucket out of that drive-through window, I'm just like, are you kidding? Why? Who is this for a week? And then I think, what does the large look like? I don't think I have cup holders that can sustain that sort of.
It's like it's only slightly bigger, and that's the thing about like larger cup sizes is like they make the top portion larger, but they keep the smaller portion so it still fits in your cup holder.
Fits in your cup holder. Yeah, it's crazy. Like to me, what's the mentality there? Like, do they have way too much drinks and they're trying to get rid of them, so they trick you into like, hey, here's a deal. When they say they want a medium, we're gonna give them 20 ounces, or I don't know, like 200 ounces. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
Whatever.
math, not my strong suit.
Math. Logic.
Anyway, moving on from drinks, let's talk about Rick and Morty again.
Okay.
What item in Mr. Needful's shop would you grab? And after taking it to Curse Purge Plus, how would you want that item improved?
That's a solid question. I'll just stick with uh, it- I was gonna say the Emmy. They made a joke about it in the commentary about like, well, it's a daytime Emmy, so there's a curse as it is. But in the back room of Mr. Needful's office, there's a Pokeball on on the office.
Yes,
So
there is.
I don't know what the curse would be for that, but I would take it at the Curse Purge Plus. And how would it be improved? I mean, I could have my own Pikachu, my own real Pikachu.
What if like it's a Pokeball that when you throw it, it captures you inside the Pokeball?
Oh shoot!
I just came up with that. I just did that
I
in my
choose
brain.
you, Travis. You pop out and you're like, let's podcast.
You just throw that Pokeball out once every couple of weeks to record a podcast, and then you clip it right back on your belt.
Sundays. I choose you, Travis. Like, all right. Did you create the bones this week, Brandon?
I've been stuck in this Pokeball. I didn't watch the episode.
My back is sore.
Apparently, I aged 40 years as well while I'm in the Pokeball.
What about you, man?
You know, I dig the running shoes. But I would get the curse taken off so that I wouldn't have to run in them forever. I don't know. Maybe the jar that has the ghost lady in it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the Annabelle ghost.
And then we just get her taken out, and then I have a nice jar.
Yeah, like, Happy Mother's Day, Sheena.
Yeah, here you go.
I know what to get you this year. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be like the first year ever. So, happy Mother's Day to all the moms that are
Happy
listening.
Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Beth Day.
Beth Smith. So Travis, this episode explores a lot of science versus magic. Does the existence of the devil prove problematic for the universe the show has created? Do Rick's viewpoints hold up if magic exists? Is magic just fancy science?
What is the quote that I'm about to butcher? Where like
something Thor, Dark World.
It's something about
something magic.
Advanced enough technologies are equal to magic or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. There we go.
Yeah, like I think it's interesting to think about magic, right? And there you can talk about magic from the perspective of like performance magic, where all of it is just presenting an illusion. But you still get that sensation, especially as a kid, where like it piques your imagination and it gets you believing in things that don't seem like they could happen, naturally. I feel like science is a study of the natural world, right? It's focused on testable, measurable facts, and I think
you said testable. I said. I was like, it sounds like testicle, and I just started smiling about it. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. It's there are certain elements in the series, and obviously when this episode came out, there are episodes that follow this one that build on this concept. But there are definitely times when Rick has referred to himself as a god or said that he is, he's the most powerful being in the universe. But then when stuff really hits the fan and he's stuck floating out in space, he's like praying and doing everything he can think of to potentially, get on God's good side if he exists. And he's very easily dismissive of that as soon as he gets out of a sticky situation. So.
And here's where I want to make a distinction, right? The question asks science versus magic. But I think I'm not religious. You know this about me, Travis.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah, and
Check out episode. I don't know. I think it's a single digit number.
right, and we remain friends somehow still. Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh, I
professional
said it.
courtesy.
Oh no, I believe now. No, but what I think, I mean, I think the question kind of doesn't belittle.
It doesn't call out
state,
religion specifically or like spiritual stuff in the question.
but it should. It should. It shouldn't be science versus magic. In this discussion, it should be like science versus faith, right? Like the devil is is a character in faith, right?
Right. Yeah.
Your Sheena posted a thing just this last week about like winning from victory
Mm-hmm.
or something
Yeah.
like that, and like that video that I watched was all about like well the devil and demons and stuff like that, and so like it's very much a part of faith, and so does the existence of the devil or faith prove problematic, and yeah yeah, I think what it does is shows this kind of age old battle of Travis versus Brandon. No,
Two sides. You know, I think the question asking, does it prove problematic? I don't think it breaks anything in the show, and I think that it's something the writers have the freedom to explore within the show because they're not necessarily ruling anything out. The existence of multiple dimensions and like really advanced science and technology and aliens and all these things, they're not necessarily ruling out one line of thinking. And really I think it's just bringing everything to the table and saying, yeah, in this episode the devil runs an antique shop and we're going to explore this idea. Does it break the show? I don't think it does. No. Does it confirm certain things in the show? Maybe that is one aspect of what any number of faiths consider to be the devil, and they're showing that aspect of it in this episode. It doesn't necessarily point to a specific set of beliefs or anything like that. So I don't think it breaks the show. I don't think it's problematic. But I think we've seen definitively throughout the rest of the series so far that not everything is going to have a scientific explanation necessarily. And there are some things that have happened in the show where you're just like, that's a little almost supernatural, and okay, that exists, that's happening. Right. And the existence of monkey paws and needful things, it just kind of adds to that.
That's right. Yeah, I think it validates extra viewpoints. I don't think it makes it problematic for Rick to openly accept, yeah, it's the devil, whatever, I'm gonna fight the devil, I'm fine with that, and
he's taking that challenge on, he's into it,
and that not be weird to him and him accept it as a normal part of reality. I think that validates that viewpoint, and I think the show does a good job of that, Travis. I think your viewpoint is valid, Travis, is what I'm
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon.
Okay. Besides the Apley Award, which you can see as everyone's waiting in line for the Curse Purge Plus, which by the way, I think that's so great that I forget his name, and it's actually in the Reddit post. So if you go there and look at it more, you can grab some of that production. But he threw in the Apley Award because he thought it'd be funny. That it exists and like Jerry doesn't have one.
Like in the real world, but he doesn't have one. Yeah.
But what other things can you spot in Mr. Needful's store?
You already pointed out the Pokeball, which it's shaded. It's kind of one color, but it's in the background there, and it's hard to say that that's anything else. I don't know. I didn't really pick up on a whole lot of other particularly like specific things. And I'm wondering if that's due to my lack of familiarity with certain references in this sort of genre.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody that like annually watches marathons of Twilight Zone and then has a podcast like about the Twilight Zone and then like obsesses over horror.
Sure.
Like they
Sure,
may
Travis, I get
that
it.
sort of a person
I get it.
might like pick up more on certain
I
things
get it.
throughout the
I
show.
get it, you bastard. I did on the second rewatch. I looked at a lot of the stuff. And I was looking for references. I saw a shrunken head. I saw a jar with like an elephant baby in it. Like a tiki mask and some stuff like that. Uh, so some of the things like I couldn't really place to um, a specific episode of anything really. I was like, okay, this all just seems kind of like a creepy stuff that could have curses to it. And uh, I don't know if I want to transition to this yet, but like I made a quiz for you, and we're gonna get to it here in a minute. But part of this quiz was I had Chelsea help me, and Chelsea's my wife. For those who listening for the first time, and they're like, "Who's Chelsea? We haven't heard this dumb asshole's name at all." In this, and now you're just saying it. Okay, so she's my wife, and I was like, "Hey, can you help me come up with some questions for Travis?" And so I was like, "Okay, you watched
She was
Needful
like,
Things."
"No,
she's like,
go away."
she's like, "I'm so sick right now. Why are you having me do this?" I said, "Okay, Needful Things. There's a show called Booth at the End, which was on Hulu, I think, for a little bit. Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is Ray Bradbury." And I was like, "Okay, like cursed items." And she's like, "Some of those shows aren't necessarily in Twilight Zone too. Those shows aren't necessarily about cursed items. So we're like, there's a twist for the item. They're like Needful Things is like small things that people do that eventually add up to like bickering and fighting within the community." And same thing with the booth at the end. And in Twilight Zone, there's not really cursed items necessarily, right? So uh, they mentioned that in this episode for something Wicked This Way Comes. So there's not really things in Mr. Needful's store that apply directly to that. There's like references, which is something I went and asked Mike McMahon about. Right? I was like, I just shot him a tweet, and I was like,
And he
"Hey,"
gracefully blew us off on Twitter.
I said, "Hey, are there any direct homages to any of these shows? And then, is there anything that you wanted to show up that ended up on the cutting room floor?" And he responded, "Oh, Rick and Morty podcast. Yes. I think the yes is for, are there any direct homages? There are many cursed items that didn't make it in. Unfortunately, if I told you those cutting room floor tidbits, I'd have to kill you." To which I responded with a GIF from Simpsons, which is the Frogurt is also cursed. Um, from Treehouse of Horror. Anyway, the point is, there's lots of stuff in there, and
Lots of stuff.
I don't get the reference.
So you made a quiz?
I did.
Is this still the setup for the quiz?
Is it? Is it? Uh,
Is this still the podcast? What are we doing?
Friends, Unity. We're gonna get to the quiz here in a second, but first, Travis, favorite bits.
Favorite bits. All right. First up, X gon' give it to you. The revenge at the end, the epic plot to roid out and hit the gym just so they could just beat up the devil, and then go and have some drinks in Seattle. Like, just that whole scene is so absurd. And then the post-credit scene where they're just going through and using that same tactic to beat up everyone from Nazis to dudes that pull the leash on their dog. Like, yeah. Just pretty classic stuff.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but I think one of my favorite bits, one of the many favorite bits of this episode is Plutonimo Bay, which is, I understand why you're confused. Plutonimo Bay is a play on words of Guantanamo, voiced by Rich Fulcher, who, if you haven't watched this show, it's called Snuffbox, and it's with Matt Berry, who I also love. I think it might be on Netflix. it's such a kind of absurd show. I recommend that highly. But that his voice in that character, and after he says, the young will eat the old if you let them, Jerry. Pluto's a cold, cold celestial dwarf.
Uh,
Planet. I mean
planet.
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 And then he
Yeah.
sits down on the lounge chair, and then his like little cross is crucifix looking eyes like look up at Jerry real fast and then back down. It kills me.
The fact that the scientist's name is what, Snoopy Noopers or
Scroopy Noopers.
Scroopy Noopers, and that it's his son. Yeah, all there's a lot of quality stuff on Pluto where they harvest the plutonium. The morning talk show, just like all the like random stuff that is just like really Americanized like celebrity, but for some reason they're doing that to flatter Jerry Smith, so he'll keep saying it's a planet.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
One of the other things that I really enjoy is when Needful Things goes belly up and they spend a few weeks to rebrand themselves as needful.com, spelled with threes instead of e's. The tech startup like aspect of it. The devil is wearing like Steve Jobs-esque like turtleneck, and the closeout of that scene after he fires Summer or shuns her away, and he grabs the fiddle off the shelf behind and jumps up and starts playing it all jubilantly. I just everything about that little clip really cracks me up.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. He's not evil, even though we're all running off of Macs and iPads and iPhones. The last thing I have is stuff that was pointed out in the commentary, which is there's a part where they're at that fancy dinner party on Pluto, and Morty stands up and he's like, Dad, what do you think of the Science Inquirer, blah 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 blah, and then Jerry comes back with, what did you think of when you threw your poopy underwear out the window and they landed on a tree branch and they're all flapping in the wind like, so in the commentary, they Dan Harmon talks about that's a true story. That's what he did when he was a kid. He thought if he just threw it out the window, it was gone. So Dan Harmon, he pooped his pants because he was a little baby and he threw it out the window. I thought that was wonderful.
It's good stuff. It's
just
good.
Wonderful.
It's good.
Also, Scroopy Noopers is Dan Harmon making fun of the way Justin Roiland names
things.
Yeah,
that's awesome because it's very Justin Roiland-esque.
Yeah. So those are our favorite bits. Did you have any other ones, Trav?
No, there were a lot of interesting things throughout the episode. I think the Butterbot classic. I like just sort of the
God,
the existentialism, and then how at the end of the episode Morty just has it in like a sandwich bag. He's like, I'm just gonna take this thing in, like, whatever. I'll just grab Rick's trash, bring it in, and get an A.
Come on, Dad. I'm 14.
Oh yeah, and I could be doing anything in here. I got a computer. Like, really, you need to knock.
We talk about cursed items, and we talk about that a lot in this episode because the devil is a huge part of it. So we went out and we asked you, Unity, for some suggestions of cursed items, and what would the curse be for them. So we got a few suggestions back, and we wanted to cover those here. The first one is from the Mustache Man. He's a mustache man. It's Tyler Tigno. He writes, a male enhancement drug that gives you a 9-inch hard-on all the time, except when you try to have sex. Complete cold swimming pool during that. Hashtag hell. Hashtag FML. Fuck my leaner.
Yeah, that's what it means. That's what it means. The Grant Ramos said a free cell phone that takes a few seconds of your life each time you call or text someone. I think those are just called cell phones.
I think that's basically what I do. It is a curse. 'Cause, like as I'm waiting at a stoplight, yes, I look at my phone at the stoplight. Who doesn't at this
You
stage?
rebel.
Let's
You.
just be honest with each other.
You.
In Florida, it's not a
Ne'er do well.
in Florida it's a secondary offense, so I have to get pulled over first before they can ticket me for using a cell. Doesn't matter. Okay. Um. Anyway, yeah, we're losing our life. So this one is from I forget his name.
Some tool.
Some dumb, stupid
I was
white
trying to energize the
white
conversation. All right, milk
white.
toast.
How about an endless bag of Starbursts, but it's only the yellow ones?
Who wants
Oh,
that? Nobody wants yellow Starburst.
what a hot take!
Shut up, Brandon. You can eat all my yellow Starbursts from now on. I'll ship them to you in a bag.
I'll eat the shit out of those yellow Starbursts.
I bet you would.
By the way, go to at Steve the Heeb and answer my poll question. Which are better, Twizzlers or Red Vines? Okay,
Yeah, we know the real answer.
but we're not gonna say it here.
We're not gonna
because-
say it here.
Yeah. Okay. Eric Pitcher, aka the Sardarka, a microphone that gives you an instantly successful podcast and or YouTube channel, but your recorded voice always sounds like Professor Frank from The Simpsons. Nice.
I mean, hey, if people are gonna listen to it, if it's automatically
My life and
pi is exactly 3. That's
yeah, sure.
sorry I had to come
Logical.
to that. Sorry I had
Nah.
to come to that. Some lady named Chelsea says 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife.
She didn't get it. Okay.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
So-
all right.
That's what we had for that. Those are the cursed items that you Unity sent us in.
Yeah.
And
If you have more, feel free to send us more. We're happy to check them out over on Twitter or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/RickandMortyPod.
That's great. That's great. Okay, now here's what I talked about the quiz before.
Rick and Morty podcast.
We talked about the quiz before, and here it is. Here's the quiz that I'm going to give you, Travis, and those listeners at home or on the commute or shucking hay. Do you shuck hay? I don't think you shuck hay.
I certainly don't.
Yeah. Play along, please do. So here's the quiz. Okay, I'm going to give you an item, and then I'm going to give you the options, and you have to tell me what the right option is, right curse is for
Okay.
this item.
I'm in. How
Okay.
many questions?
5,
Okay, 3 to win,
5 or 6. I don't know. I wrote down 6, but
3 to tie.
yeah, 3. Okay. First up, quill pen. And these items are based off of episodes of either Friday the 13th, the series, Twilight Zone, or Ray Bradbury Theater. Okay?
Ready.
Got it. You
Got
haven't
them
seen
all
any
in my
of those.
Netflix queue.
All right, first up, quill pen. A, kills people when you write about them. B, you're really good at writing, but birds hate you. C, you have something to do with why everyone hates the new adventures. What the fuck? I don't know. That's the fake one. So
I'm gonna
it's
say
either A or
that
B.
one's not it. I'm gonna go with A.
That is absolutely correct. A is right. Kills people when you write about it. That is from Quill Pen, aka the Poison Pen, which is the second episode of Friday the 13th, the series. Oh, good job,
Ooh,
Travis.
Thanks.
That's 1. Did you get it at home? I don't know. We'll find out. Send us your scores later. Number 2, pair of boxing gloves. A, makes you punch yourself to death. B, you black out, but you end up beating a bunch of people to death. Like it's kind of like a boxing massacre.
Yeesh.
Or C, allows the owner to win matches, but your shadow kills people.
Shadow kills people. The shadow knows.
Is that your answer?
No. You black out and boxing spree.
Okay. Let me make a column for right and a column for wrong, and that is wrong. So the answer is actually C. The boxing gloves allow the winner to win matches, but their shadow kills people, and it's from episode 8 of the Friday the 13th series, and the episode is called. Can you guess?
Shadowboxing.
The shadow boxer. Yeah, yeah.
Man,
Okay.
these episodes write themselves. I'll tell you what.
All right. Question number 3. Pool cue. A. Always win, but you have to kill with it. B. You always win, but you're impotent. C.
That
You
one.
become a pool champion, but you're eternally challenged by other people.
It's C. I think I've seen this episode.
Yeah, yeah. And what episode is it?
Twilight Zone.
And it's called A Game of Pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starring the late great Jack Klugman. Yes, and it's not a cursed item, but
We're working with
I
what we
made-
got here.
made
It's all good.
yeah. Okay, you got it, man. Oh man, look at you. You've seen that episode. Okay,
I'm
Number
catching up,
4.
Brandon.
number 4, a ventriloquist dummy. A. Tells better jokes than you always, so it'll always be more famous than you. B. Makes you famous, but your hand fuses with it. C. Nobody laughs at anything you say unless there's a dummy saying it. Or D. The dummy wants to have more control over your fame.
Ooh. You gave me 4. You're really
did, yeah.
really mixing it up here, Brandon.
Because 2 of them are right.
Oh, okay. 50-50 shot here.
Yep.
Let me pick a wrong answer here. How about only funny things that you say come out of the dummy?
Oh, man, you got that.
Is-
You got
is
that
a-
wrong.
Is a wrong answer.
That was a wrong answer.
And it fuses with your hand is a right answer.
The two, yes, the 2 that are right are the fuses with your hand, which is actually a Tales from the Crypt episode starring Bobcat Goldthwait, and D, which the dummy wants to have more control of your fame, and that's a Twilight Zone episode called The Dummy. Basically, the dummy doesn't want to go away, and he wants to be a part of the show, and eventually they switch bodies. Okay, number 5, a
For
jar.
all the marbles.
A jar. Well, there's 2 more. I got it. A
For
jar.
most of the marbles.
A jar. A. It traps souls. By the way, my son helped me with this. B. Pickles will come out and kill people. C. It's always full of money, but you can never have any of it. Or D. It shows your greatest sins.
Let's go with D.
It shows your greatest sins.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, you got that right, and that is from a Ray Bradbury theater called The Jar, and it shows your greatest sins. That the story is actually this guy gets this jar, and people come. It's like a sideshow attraction, and they can see their greatest sins in it, and then eventually his wife looks at it and then sees his face because she's been cheating on him, and then so he kills her, and then he always sees her in the jar from there on. Okay.
Ooh. Spoilers.
Final question. Final question. Hearing aid. A. Hears people whispering bad things, but people die. B. Allows wearers to read minds, but people die. C. Hears ghosts, but people die.
D.
Which one is
Scares
it?
off weird sound creatures.
Lots of people die in this.
People die. Red
Yeah.
lights.
Yeah.
Jim and Pam. Here's ghosts, but people die.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in you.
I honestly I forgot the other 2. But yeah, I don't know.
People die no matter what, because this is a Friday the 13th episode called "Sticking in My Ear," and it's B, allows wearers to read minds, but people die. Basically, it allows people to read minds, but eventually you get overloaded, and so you have to transfer that onto somebody else, and that person will die. There you go.
Wow.
Travis.
Talk about a denial of service attack. Am I
Heyo.
right? Am I
Sorry,
right?
Dark. You get us.
Am I right?
You get us. You're in IT.
All right. I think
your
we're still on
3.
the main thing.
That was good.
Overall, let's bring it back to Rick and Morty here for a
Yeah.
second. By and large, like this episode, pretty classic episode. I do enjoy it. I enjoy watching it and revisiting it. Um, but like I said at the beginning, it does feel like it's sort of a standalone episode, and without much stakes outside of this episode. But we do get the Plutonians, which have popped up from time to time in other episodes, and yeah, we didn't really talk about Curse Purge Plus too much, but I really like the concept of Rick pulling out all the stops in this episode to one up the devil, right? And then as soon as the devil has like given up and been like, you know what, all right, Rick, you win, he's done with it. He's like, he has the capacity to do so much, but realistically he's only interested in it if it's making someone else's life worse, or if it can prove that he's better than someone else.
Yeah, yeah, that absolutely.
So one last question for you, and,
Yeah,
and it didn't come up in the Reddit questions, but in this episode we see Summer gravitate towards the devil, this older gentleman who has some control of like powerful things, and he sort of is this opposite or comparable figure to Rick. Do you feel Rick's motivation in trying to top the devil was more based on like a competitive thing within Rick, or did Summer have anything to do with that? Like, do you think that he was like, hey, Summer should be idolizing me and not Mr. Needful?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe at the start of it, he showed a little bit of jealousy there at the start. But I think with a lot of things that Rick does, it might start with this kind of attachment to the family, but then it turns into a very selfish thing, which is,
Right.
it's kind of self-destructive in his way, where like, oh, it comes from a place of caring, his insecurity and caring, but it turns into, no, I this is all about me now. This is a
Right.
very narcissistic thing.
Because when you wrap up the episode and Summer is upset because of what Mr. Needful's done, then Rick is very eager to kind of get back into getting involved and roiding out so that they can go and beat him up on stage,
Yeah.
which I get again kind of brings back that linkage of Rick and how much he does care about the rest of the family, and does want to be supportive, even if Rick is still sort of, I mean, Rick didn't just make Summer strong.
Right.
Like he got ripped also so that he could get a few punches in.
Yeah.
In the end.
They were injecting steroids into each other's butt cheeks. It wasn't a one-sided butt cheek syringe.
Yeah.
I think that's important to note.
I think that's important to note. All right. Okay. That's enough for us talking about this episode. If you have any other thoughts or something from this episode that we missed, definitely hit us up over on social media, over on Twitter at Rick and Morty Pod, or talk about it on the official Rick and Morty subreddit, where this will be pinned in their episode rewatches, and then you can kind of get down in the comments in there and start the conversation about this episode, which is sort of the intent of why we're doing these anyway, right?
Totes intent. Totes intent.
Totes malotes. All right, couple last segments that we should get through, seeing as we're an hour and 13 minutes into this episode.
Yeah.
So let's check in on this week's Blood Dome Battle League.
Oh yeah.
Blood Dome. All right, everybody. This is this week's episode of Blood Dome Battle League, brought to you by Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast. Let me just tell you this: when we talk like this, I am just so excited to talk to you about the Blood Dome Battle League this week between Andy and Arthuricia.
Any Arthuricia. Okay. Let's just talk about this for brief second. Let's go with what Unity says. Okay. Autumn, she says, I feel like Annie is too soft for Morty. He needs a girl who can handle him at his purgiest. Oh, I've heard that before. I've heard that at the club. Gotta go down to the cube.
What, that someone can't handle you at your purgiest?
Yeah, they're like, oh, can't. And, like the bartender's like, man, I can't even handle you at your purgiest. I'm like, yeah, tell
I know.
me about
Get
it.
it all the time. You say that again.
Keegan, friend of the show, definitely Arthricia. Like, come on, she had the robot suit. She grew up with the purge. What do
Yeah.
you think of that?
I mean, mechanized enhancements plus systemic violence ingrained into her culture. I mean, there's a couple of big advantages there.
That's true. That's true. Old Chire Derek, he says, you really could spin this either way. Sure, Arthricia grew up on a purge planet, but Annie may or may not have had to fight off the infectious diseases and rapey pirates from Anatomy Park. And I think he brings up, he doesn't specifically bring this up, but it's good to point out that Annie is from Anatomy Park. She's the one who survives in Anatomy Park.
Yeah.
And she runs the park.
Yeah. She's coming from a position of power.
She is. So we're doing something a little bit different this week, and we're gonna describe to you what happened between Arthricia and Annie right now, and we didn't write this down. One, and there's a few reasons for that. One, because I was lazy. Two, well, because it was just laziness. Really, the second one.
We did
Perfect
have an
match.
episode of Apathetic Enthusiasm where we did a little bit of improv, and that was fun.
Has nothing to do with that.
I don't think this is gonna go as well.
No, it's not. Okay, so I'm gonna play the role of Annie. Travis is gonna play the role of Arthricia as of right now because he insulted our improv abilities. Okay.
Yes, and
And I'll also play the narrator.
okay, quick, someone on YouTube, give us a place.
We're the
wait.
only two people. On
Oh
YouTube.
shoot. Okay.
And J2 maybe. Okay. Here's what happens. Okay. So Annie is in charge of Anatomy Park, and they're looking for ways to expand the park. Right? You have Disneyland, you have Disney World, you have Euro Disney, you need to expand beyond that. So what happens after Anatomy Park? You have Anatomy World, and then after Anatomy World, you need to find someplace else. Anatomy Planet is what she decides on, and she's advanced. She's now like the CEO of Anatomy Park Incorporated, right? And so she's going around the universe and she's looking for places to set up a new park, okay? And she lands on this specific planet, and it turns out to be the same planet that Arthricia is now in charge of. Because what happened is after Who's Purging, Look Who's Purging Now, Arthricia has become the de facto leader of that planet. And she hasn't learned her lessons. She hasn't learned the lessons of her forefathers or foremothers. She has started her own version of the purge. And so as soon as Annie lands, the villagers they all warn her, you better get out of here now if you can.
Yeah,
sister."
it's like late afternoon on the Purge planet, and everybody's wrapping up the business of the day when this ship lands, and some local farmers are like, "Oh, hello, are you here for the festival?"
That's right. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Travis. Yeah, and Annie says, "Yeah, I'm just here to talk about. I'm just looking for a new place to build my new company's theme park." And
oh well, we have a mighty fine festival around here. If you feel like staying this evening.
ooh, yeah, I'd love to see it. Maybe we can roll that into next year's festivities.
Oh, what kind of festivities do you usually partake in this
I
this
don't
sort of
appreciate
park
being,
that you're talking about?
I don't like being hit on. First of all, and she put her finger up. First of all, second of all, I'm a grown woman.
Who is this woman?
Oh, why do we sound the same?
We're the
stupid.
worst. We're the worst.
Anyway, so Arthurcia comes out and she flies in her purge suit because Rick hasn't. He never took it away. He's like, "Hey, you can have this," you know.
Yeah.
Like I don't want anything that a woman's finished touching, right? Because he's very misogynist. We've all established that about Rick, and because like raising Gazorpa Zorp and stuff like that, you can see that. And she comes right out and says, "Look, you need to get off here. This is not your planet." And he says, I'm just here looking for a place to set my theme park up." And Arthurcia says, "No." And Arthurcia, what does Arthurcia do, Travis? You tell. What does Arthurcia do?
She challenges her to a game of pool, and then the winner is stuck playing pool for the rest of eternity.
That's right.
Now, here's the thing: this battle is, if you have Arthurcia with a purge suit and Annie with her corporate wits, it's pretty one-sided, and I think the results show that. Annie,
like Arthurcia takes Annie and like breaks her in half, right? And then Annie's entrails are like falling all over Arthurcia's purge suit, right? And Arthurcia's like, "Oh," and she's like rubbing it on her face, and she's like, this is the blood that's gonna make us stronger. All the outsiders, we're going to take their blood, and we're going to rise above it. We're going to elevate." And just her fans are just watching on these huge like 1,000-yard televisions all across the world. Arthurcia she's planning an invasion of Earth, and she's gonna bring her mantra to Earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the creative process. So Arthurcia won. 83% of you thought Arthurcia won on Twitter. 60% over on Facebook. A little bit closer, giving Annie a chance.
A little bit.
I think it's pretty obvious how Arthurcia would dispose of Annie. I think there are some creative ways that we could have had this go the other way. Specifically, the idea of maybe Annie
striking her down.
Annie building a theme park within Arthurcia that goes haywire, or something like that.
That's so much smarter than what I just said.
I don't know. Tearing her in half and celebrating the blood showering down. So that's a thing. All right. My apologies. Everybody gets a mulligan once in a while. So next week, our Blood Dome Battle League is a fight for the ages.
Fight for the ages.
This is really there's a return of a character that we've all missed for quite a while, and one that we just talked about recently in a previous episode. But next time it's Bird Person versus Morty Jr. That's right, he's still on my desk. Morty Jr.
Oh yeah, he is.
This I'm very, very interested to hear what you Unity think about this matchup and who you will be voting for to win. And if you don't want to hear that sort of synopsis, shoot us your ideas. Shoot us some ideas of how you think the fight will go down between Morty Jr. and Bird Person. If you don't send them in, I promise we will write something ourselves. But yeah, definitely send us something. I promise. Volleyball season will be over by then.
I'm not going to promise anything. I will drag this. I will drag it out. But anyways, yeah, Bird Person versus Morty Jr. Let us know. Send us a message. Send us an email. Send us a tweet, and let us know. Or an email. Send us a narrative, and we will read it happily. But until then, this was this week's episode of Blood Dome Battle League. Blood Dome Battle League. Okay, so we're going to move into our last segment, which is listener suggestions and short outs. This last week, I and Travis, we wanted to thank all the patrons that we have out there, and so we sent out handwritten, hand doodled, and a few mementos to everyone out there who's who's given us, who supported us directly. And so we want to thank you again, everyone. And we don't want to we don't want to say names because we don't. If we start with one name, then you're gonna be like, oh, why are you prioritizing that guy's name or that woman's name over somebody else's name? We don't want to do that. We don't want to make you feel special.
Yeah.
No one's
But thanks for
special.
making us feel special. I will give a special shout out to those that are active on our Discord, especially around the time when the season or the 70 episode announcement came out. There was a very active discussion on there with a lot of speculation about how long the seasons would be and when the show might be coming back, things like that. It is very cool to have those avenues for discussion with you guys, and just thanks to everybody that continues to support the show financially and just talking to us. Thanks for being a friend.
That's right.
Okay,
Thank you for being a friend.
couple of tweets of note this week. These are mostly at responses or quoted tweets. But Free Comic Book Day happened between episodes,
That's right.
and Brandon hit up his local comic shop, picking up the Starburns comic that featured none other than Patton Oswalt.
That's right. That's right. And hey, I'm not above tagging people in a tweet and saying, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever," and then having them retweet it. I'm not above that. And Patton Oswalt did exactly that. And so, since he's a longtime listener of the show, we have no data to prove that. We thank you directly, Mr.
Yeah.
Oswalt.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned Mike McMahon's response to our questions earlier in the episode. Thanks for at least humoring us. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
come
Mr.
on
McMahon.
the podcast. come talk to us.
Come, please do.
And then reviews. We didn't have any reviews this week, which is fine. It's cool. It's the off season. Save those for season 4, or go write one right now. While you're listening, realistically, this is a pretty lengthy episode, but we do appreciate everybody who. Oh, I just punched my desk. Oh gosh, everything shook. Thanks to everybody that listens to the show and that continues to support us. If you have suggestions for future episodes, or if we're coming up on an episode that you are really excited about and have specific questions, send us those questions. We would love to answer them as we're doing those main thing recaps. And we want to have those conversations. So let us know what you love about these episodes, and maybe even stuff that you don't like. That's it for Something Wicked This Way Comes. Next week, penultimate episode of season 9. It's the Close Rick Counters of the Rick kind.
Yes.
With all the Ricks. So some big stuff coming up in this episode. Do yourself a solid. Go watch it, and then send us your thoughts. Go vote for Bird Person versus Morty Jr. And come hang out with us on pre-show live streams. If you want to support us over on Patreon.
That's right. Also, make sure you go check out Blue Apron.
Not a sponsor.
If you're a Harmontown fan.
All right. Anything else, Brandon? Before we sign off.
No, not at all. I just want to say thank you, Unity, for listening as always. And until 2 weeks from now, when we talk about all the different Ricks in the world, hey, we'll see you later. I got lost. Anyways,
We're
whatever.
the best at finishing podcasts. Okay, bye.
Bye. See you later.
All right. That's podcast. Thank you to anyone that is still watching the live stream, or
J2.
if you're watching this later, I got to make sure that I post this on Patreon, because I'm not positive I did with the last one. So we'll get that out to you, and thank you so much for watching and commenting along, and hopefully we can get some more people in here. But
Yeah.
all right. Until next time, Travis.
Till next. I'm Brandon. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.